So, becoming Critter on Twitter challenged me to do a recording that's a little bit more challenging than other videos I've recorded. So, here's what I'm going to do for the challenge. I'm going to record this entire video without any cuts. No jump cuts, no B-roll, no transition slides, no titles, just me talking to you. Now, for some people, this isn't that difficult. Other YouTubers like VSiconV and Michael Ashcroft, most of their videos are actually these one takes. But for me, this is super challenging. Now, why is it super challenging? One, even in normal conversations, I put a lot of pauses into my sentences. It's been a common problem throughout my childhood, as I grew up as a teenager, and even into adulthood. I still struggle to put together full sentences and not think too hard about the exact wording I want to say, about the exact precise things I need to say. I'm always worried that if I put together a sentence that's not perfectly formulated, that the other person, you, might think I'm not smart, might think I don't know what I'm talking about. So this is my challenge, to do this entire recording without a cut. Now, it's scary for a few reasons. One being, I've never been a good conversationalist, so to have to do a full YouTube video without a cut is scary. If you were to, say, watch a behind the scenes video of me making a regular YouTube video, you'd see how often I stumble over sentences, how often I make mistakes, how often I screw up in the middle of a sentence and have to stop and reshoot a thing. And I'm like afraid to hire an editor because they might get mad at me for how many times they have to go back and cut and remove things. Another reason this is scary is because on YouTube, pauses are like death. Every single person who's like a popular YouTuber, they all say you need jump cuts frequently. You need to change something on screen every 10 seconds or you might lose your audience. And if you lose your audience, then YouTube won't recommend your video to the rest of the world. So by uploading a video like this where there's no jump cuts, where there's no flashy titles, there's no cool animations, I'm totally relying on my ability to keep your attention. And to be fair, if you don't know me, you're probably gone by now. And even if you do know me, you might be gone by now. And I have to be okay with that, which is scary. I'll be honest. But here's why I did this video anyway. I did this video anyway because every time I've been given a choice that involved running away or going towards the fear, I've always found benefit from going towards the fear. Now, what do I mean? I don't mean go jump out of a plane without a parachute, but what I mean is in many social situations, in many work situations, you may find yourself in a position where doing certain things might be scary. The classic example is asking out a beautiful girl or boy on a date. It's scary. You don't want to do it. When you think about doing it, your palms get sweaty, you freeze up. But if you go and do it anyway, there's benefit to that. There's a reward. You either get to know the person better, or they say no, and you can move on with your life without worrying about or wondering about what if you had asked. There's a few sort of key moments in my life where stepping out of my comfort zone and into this fear has changed me for the better. One example is the first time I was in France. I got in a situation where I missed a train and I needed to scramble to find a hostel. Now, this was back in the day when we didn't have smartphones. I think the first iPhone had come out, but because I was in a different country, I didn't have my normal phone. I just had one of those flip phones. I didn't speak any French. But what I did was I walked around town, and every time I saw someone, I walked up to them and I asked in my horribly broken French with a weird, horrible mix of English if they knew where a hostel was. And eventually I found a hostel. This was terrifying for me. At the time, speaking to strangers was scary. Speaking to someone in a different language was scary. This was my first time in a foreign country at all. And I finally found a hostel, and it wasn't that bad. And when I got to the hostel, I was super tired. I was wiped. All I wanted to do was go to sleep. And the lady behind the desk says, "Hey, it's your lucky day. It's free champagne night." And I'm sitting here like, I'm super tired. I'm like the most introverted person on the planet. There's nothing I would love less than hanging out with a bunch of like douchey Euro frat boys and partying all night. So I went up to my dorm and I put away my books, or not my books, my bag. And I sat there, like, kind of half tried to go to sleep. And I was like, what am I doing? I'm in like this beautiful city in France, and there's an opportunity to go talk with random strangers who will never see you again. So I went down and I nervously asked the bartender about free champagne night, and sure enough, here comes a glass of champagne. I sat in the corner. I was all kind of, I was doing that thing you do at parties where you don't really know anyone and you're just kind of like, I'm holding my glass, great time. Finally, this guy comes over and says like, "Hey, I'm so-and-so." I don't even remember his name. And from that point on, the rest of the night, I hung out with new people. I hung out with strangers. We got relatively sloshed and it was fun. Nothing life-changing happened, but something life-changing did happen. What happened was I realized that the thing that was outside my comfort zone wasn't so bad. And that night in particular wasn't special in any way, but it influenced my decisions going forward, because going forward, I got more confident. I was able to talk to strangers more. I finally got my first girlfriend. I finally realized that it was okay if I spoke not perfectly fluently, without perfect charisma, with a slightly monotone voice. These things were all okay for me to do. And since then, there's many more instances where going towards the fear instead of running away from it has benefited me greatly. Recently, one was mentoring for building a second brain. I knew I had to present to over 100 people in my Zoom room. I'd never done anything like that before, and to be honest, the idea still scares me right now, even though it's already over. I did that. Starting a YouTube channel is another big one. If you had told me a year ago that I would have a YouTube channel, I would laugh at you and just I wouldn't believe you, because for me, conversation, talking, presenting, these are all skills that I thought I could never achieve. But here I am, stepping into the fear, doing the thing. Here I am, listening to a challenge from Becoming Critter, and doing the video for you. So what's the takeaway here? The takeaway: step into the fear. It's okay. Unless it's going to kill you, stepping into the fear will help you grow, will help you become a more whole person, will help you expand the range of things that you can handle. And honestly, in retrospect, it will be the better decision. So thanks for watching my video. See you next time.